People have asked me to talk about Nettspend because he is a very unique character. However, this is truly one of the situations where there's not too much for me to say, which is kind of surprising because he is probably one of the most hot up-and-coming rappers right now. But that does lead me to my first point. As I have talked about new generation rappers, one obstacle that I often find myself trying to hurdle is the fact that they're new generation rappers. Much of their story and what I could probably offer and tell you is very well documented. There's not really too much substance that I could really add on to. And if it isn't really that fact, it may be the fact that we're just completely different in age. Nettspend, if I am going to be honest, is truly one of the first times that I saw a rapper that I knew absolutely nothing about. I don't know where he came from, I don't know how he blew up, I don't know what his popular records are. I'm only 26 years old, but this is an example that rap really is fast, and you really have to put the effort in to keep your finger on the pulse. Personally, I don't really think there's anything wrong with him. I've listened to some of his music, and I think it's good. However, if you were to show me somebody else's music within his class, I'm not entirely sure if I would find any type of a difference. Truly, in my opinion, I think his biggest factor that acquires him a fan base is just who he is and how he presents himself. If I had to guess, he just looks like a suburbia kid who grew up in a house with two parents, and their dad owns a business, and their mom's a stay-at-home mom, and he had like a very nice, typical upbringing, but the way that he presents himself and the way that he dresses and the way that he takes his photos is very much of like urban Chicago, like early 2010 Chicago era. To me, it just really seems like a white kid who grew up in suburbia trying to portray himself as a black kid who grew up in the south side of Chicago. Now, of course, this isn't to hate, this is just an observation, and I know he's not the only one that does this. He's more than welcome to like what he likes and act the way that he wants to act and do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Who am I to tell him that? But without a doubt, I think that is the biggest factor and the biggest source of mass appeal is that dichotomy. The fact that he just looks so much and acts so differently is just weird.